Alright, so lately I have been trying to optimize my electrolytes. And I have found electrolytes to be incredibly beneficial. Obviously they are necessary for human health, but in the process of optimization is actually quite easy. I think it's almost easier than any other nutrient I have had experience with. You can basically tell quite easily from your symptoms which electrolyte you're deficient in, if you are deficient in electrolytes, and you can identify the benefit from taking those electrolytes very easily, or at least I can. So I'd like to try and share some of that with you today. Now, electrolytes, I think almost everyone knows them. They are the nutrients, the minerals in your bloodstream responsible for the electrical conduction of nerves. So, like sodium and calcium and magnesium and potassium, and to some extent phosphorus, I think, is an electrolyte. And if you don't have electrolytes, you have a number of different problems, like in extreme cases like heart problems and muscle contraction problems and such. But to me, in my everyday life, I have found a few notable benefits to taking electrolytes when I needed them, other than just like heart working properly. I think the main ones have been anxiety is ridiculously benefited by electrolytes, I found. So if you're just finding you're like angry all day, or you're depressed, or you just have anxiety where you're trying to get to sleep or anything like that, I think a possible cause could be low electrolytes. And my anxiety has improved quite a lot through taking various electrolytes. And another one is energy. Energy is, like if you follow like snake diet guy or something, you'll know snake juice, which is sodium and potassium, and he takes that throughout the day to get energy. And also like magnesium and phosphorus are incredibly important for energy, as well as calcium in fact. So if you're missing electrolytes, it could be quite an easy way to get your energy levels up. And finally, if anyone's following my channel to get gym content, they're quite important for actually developing soreness after going to the gym. So there's a lot of electrolyte storage within your muscles, and if you do not have repleted electrolytes, you'll find you'll keep going to the gym and don't really get sore or don't really get DOMS afterwards, and the pump will also be fairly diminished. And I found that repleting at least certain electrolytes has been incredibly beneficial for improving gym performance. So what have I found out in the last few months working on my electrolytes? There is one symptom I have found which has been very, very useful in pinpointing when I am deficient in an electrolyte. And it's not one I ever hear really talked about. And people know they have to take electrolytes when it's like, especially a hot day like it is today. I think I'm basically covered in sweat. I apologize for that. But people know when they get dehydrated, like they get depleted in electrolytes, or some other, I guess people take them in like pre-workout and things. But no one really understands when to tell if they are depleted in electrolytes, as far as I can see. And one symptom I have found is dehydration of the skin, and especially dry skin. And almost any time in the last like couple of years, I have found to get myself getting into dry skin, then it has always been fixed by taking some electrolyte. And it's not always the same electrolyte, it's whatever I am deficient in on that day. But I think what's going on there, like when I say dry skin, it's either dry or sometimes you get like wrinkled fingers, like once you've just got out of the shower, and they look kind of similar to that, but obviously in that situation it's wet. But basically the effect is the moisture leaving your skin. And I think what is happening in that case is your body, your blood desperately needs more of one electrolyte or the other. And so it is leaching the moisture from your cells in the hope that your cells contain some of whatever electrolyte is needed. And in the extreme cases, really you can get super dry skin and like your fingers can just be all horribly wrinkled up just on just like a normal day. You haven't been in the shower recently or anything. So for me, as soon as I get a bit of this dry skin, I start thinking, what electrolyte do I need? Now, specifically what electrolyte you need is going to be, you're going to have to think a bit more about it. So they're actually fairly dangerous to supplement in the sense that they all balance each other. So potassium balances calcium and sodium to some extent, and magnesium also balances calcium. I'm not sure about phosphorus, I'm sure that has some interaction. But if you take the one that you have too much of and it counterbalances the one that you don't have enough of, you can make your symptoms worse. So you have to put some effort into thinking about what electrolyte you're low on before you start just taking them randomly. And it's fairly easy to distinguish what electrolyte you need based on other symptoms. So the most obvious one is if your heart is beating too hard. So one job of electrolytes is to calm down your nerve impulses, calm down your muscle contractions. And the electrolytes related to calming down your nerve impulses is potassium and magnesium. So if you can feel your heart beating too fast or too hard, or even just feel it beating at all, you're probably deficient in either potassium or magnesium. And if you get it together with the dry skin symptoms, you can narrow that down quite well. Now, is it potassium or is it magnesium? It's quite difficult to tell. The way I can do it, after many years of experimenting with these, is potassium tends to make your heart beat faster. So it feels like it's, how do I describe it? It feels like it's sort of spasming and going too fast, and you can't really control the tempo of your heartbeat. And also it beats hard, similar to magnesium. But magnesium is more like, it beats very hard, but very slow. So just not like bradycardia like slow, but just like hard and slow is magnesium. And the other one magnesium always leads to for me is anxiety and like social problems. So if I go to work and I've got the dry skin and my heart's beating a bit hard and I'm just getting angry all day, then I can usually tell that is a magnesium deficiency problem and I need to go and take some magnesium. Now, what about the others? Sodium is also quite easy, for me at least. So sodium you also get with dry skin syndrome if you don't have enough sodium, but together with it, the main one it gives to me is energy. Now, lack of energy has a million different causes. You can't just say you have no sodium due to lack of energy, but what I have found is once I go to the gym and do some exercise, if I do not have enough sodium, I will be out to sleep like 2 hours later. Like, I do not know the reason for this, but lack of sodium really makes me want to sleep after I go and exercise. So if you are constantly falling asleep after exercise and you have the dry skin syndrome, then perhaps sodium is what you're needing. Now, calcium is not one I've had so much experience with. I occasionally get into low energy and need calcium due to low energy. But again, low energy is a symptom of many, many deficiencies. So it's not very useful trying to diagnose with low energy. And the other time I personally get into low calcium levels is due to taking too much of one of the other electrolytes, which again isn't a very useful comment, I don't think. Like if I take too much magnesium or too much potassium and then I start feeling bad due to that, like my heart gets too slow or too weak or something like that, it often means I do not have enough calcium to balance it out. I take milk almost every day, like sometimes multiple times a day, so I don't naturally get into low calcium very often, but maybe if someone watching this who gets into low calcium, then please let me know what that feels like, because I would be quite interested to know about that. But yeah, that's basically what I've discovered on electrolytes. I have actually improved my health quite a lot, just optimizing electrolytes in the last year, and I think they are almost the most easy nutrient to actually improve on. So I hope if one of you guys hears this and thinks, maybe that's you, then maybe you can have some luck with that as well. All right, that's all for today. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.